Hello, my name is Sally Pinto, and I'm the Program Director for the Yonkers Newark Neighborhood Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. We serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We are under the auspices of WJCS and the Yonkers Office for the Aging. We also have a resource specialist and a nurse on staff. We conduct virtual programming in partnership with the Yonkers Public Library on a daily basis. Enjoy the program.
So we've just experienced a few really cold days, right? Is everybody warm in their houses? Some people keep their heat low. So you wonder, I know we just got through the holidays. How was everyone's holiday?
Well, our friends from Newark are here, so I want to hear from Alexis from Newark before we jump into the holidays. Can we do that?
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am Alexis Smith, the resource specialist with the Yonkers Newark, and we serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We're under WJCS and Yonkers Office for the Aging. If you have any questions or concerns about community resources or referrals, we're here to help. And so far, we're doing so good for the new year, and Happy New Year to everybody, and enjoy today's program. Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome. Okay, so everybody got through their holidays, yes? I hope.
Yes.
Good. Did anybody try the furoshiki cloth wrapping for presents? I presented that at the last one. You could do it for birthday presents too, where you wrap up a present in a certain way. I have it on the blog, but you use cloth and it can be reused for the next thing. So I've put my Christmas cloth away. I think I have it here, wait. Yes, a nice big red cloth and a candy cane cloth. They're really big because I had a couple of very big boxes, and this is folded 4 times. So it's bigger than even this piece. And this one as well. I have a red cloth, really big. So, and that's only in half. So yeah, so you can wrap your presents in cloth and it's fairly cheap and you can reuse it because you can wash it. So today we're going to do 2 crafts. I'm going to talk about 2 crafts and we're going to speak about sustainable Westchester. I'm going to introduce that idea to you because it's a group for Westchester that is trying to get all of us here in Westchester to make choices for ESCOs. They are energy companies to provide energy, electrical energy through sustainable sources, as in hydroelectric and solar power. So I will begin with our craft. So I don't know if you can see this, maybe I'll get it. Okay. So here, today we're going to make the, biodegradable bird feeder. Not the lip balm. Let's start with the bird feeder. So, all right, so we'll start with this bird feeder. What you see here is a half, like an orange peel, right? So, oh, look at that. It came out so easy. Woo. No, I used a knife. The knife was better. I have a curved knife and I just cut out the pulp. It's not that hard. If you have one of those spoons that has the jagged edge, does anybody have those spoons at home? I couldn't find mine. You can unmute at
They're
will.
grapefruit spoons.
The what? Oh, yes.
They're called grapefruit spoons. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody really has them anymore, but
I have them, but I couldn't find mine. So I'm going to poke some holes in the skin, like just cut it. Okay. I'm going to poke a hole here, right? And one over here. One over there. And then one over there is really easy to cut it. But I was successful. I hung mine outside. And it lasted a day. And why is it good? It gives them something to perch on. Ooh, I need scissors. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So I have twine that is not twiny, it is cottony. It's like kitchen twine or wrapping. What's the other name of that? It's not a plastic twine, it's a cloth twine. So I cut it into 4 equal lengths because I'm gonna thread it through the orange peel. And I'm going to use that. That's how I'm going to hang this thing. I'm going to use it to hang it. So this way, when the birds want to perch, they can perch on it. Okay. So I do this for each hole, right? So I have 1 for each. You can use 3. You don't have to do 4. I went crazy doing 4. And then all you have to do is use the bowl for the seeds. Does everybody see that? So I have 1 string. Oh no. I have 1 string, do 4 more, and then I put the seeds in the bowl. Hold on a second. Oh. So in terms of why bother doing this, it's so that you don't have to go out and spend more money on bird feeders. And if you're like me and you do spend money on bird feeders, they're usually plastic and they don't last for as many years as you would like them to. And also it's a great craft for kids, or if you're just in and you have some oranges or lemons or whatever, and you know that you're not gonna get to eat them, or you're gonna eat them and you have some left over, you can make one of these things and then hang it like so. Okay, so you have all your 4 strings and you thread them through, and there's your bird feeder. The easiest thing to do is to just hang it from a branch, tie it off at the top, and then perch it on a branch. Any questions?
It's just an easy one, Jackie. When you're knotting it, you're not actually tying it to the thing. You're just putting a knot at the end of one of the strings.
What I'm doing is I have doubled it over itself, right? And then when I get all 8 pieces, because I thread it through each hole,
Right.
I take all the pieces at the top and I knot them together. So then it's like a hanging basket. I know I was kind of lazy right now.
Well, I mean the part that's inside the orange, like that end of it, the orange end, you're just putting a knot at the end, right? So it just doesn't come through the hole.
Oh no, what it does is I made a hole in the skin, right? So the string goes through and then it holds it. You know what I mean? I don't have to put a knot in the end because I doubled it. See? I put it.
Oh, okay.
So that you don't have to do. It's kind of like a lazy cheat.
I don't know. That lazy is smart. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
so looking at your picture, the 4 strings, that's actually really 2 strings.
Right. Right.
Oh, I was viewing that as 4 strings. I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know why they did it that way. I guess they put a big knot in it, but I just felt like it was easier if you doubled it up. So thank you for clarifying that.
Oh, no, not at all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's-
Oh, that seems
But I
to-
did the directions that way. So yeah.
Okay.
And you just hang it outside. The light birds, the little itty birds, like the
Chickadees and whatever.
right, the chickadees, North Carolina wrens, the cardinals, the titmice, they will all be able to perch at the end of that, you know, at the side, like it's like a little feeder. That's what I like about the toilet roll feeder. I know it's not, I should just get off toilet and just leave it the roll feeder, but we all know what it is. Okay, so basically, if you're not allergic to peanut butter, take a spoon. If you're at the end of your peanut butter or no one's gonna eat it, or you had it for too long, or you just wanna do this craft, you just take the spoon, spoon it on. I use the back of the spoon to do this. Now, why do we do this? Why do I use the peanut butter or the Crisco? You can use Crisco too. Birds require fat in their diet, and I don't cook red meat, so I can't make suet. Suet is like a cake of fat with seeds in it. So I don't render fat from red meat because I don't eat red meat. Peanut butter is just as easy. This craft is great for kids, little kids, big kids, because it's easy, it's quick, and the paper goes straight into the ground. Or if you want to throw it out, you can throw it out if you want, but they ate up the whole thing in one day. So you cover the roll in peanut butter, and then you have on the table, can all of you see this pile of seeds here?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you take this and you just roll it into the seeds, right? And don't be shy about it, be firm about it. And then take a string and string it through. And then tie it off at the top, make a knot. Now, my friend Joan, she doesn't even bother with the string. She takes the whole roll and just puts it on a branch. If you want to get fancy like me, and I have pictures, I'm going to put them on the blog. You just hang it on the branch with the peanut butter. If you look, the seeds have stuck to the peanut butter, and it's really easy for them to take the seeds off because they're not embedded in the peanut butter. And trust me, the squirrels at least will be able to get at this, and they like the peanut butter. So that's how that's done. I can't, okay. So I just wanted to let you know, because these are like really easy crafts to do. This took me the entire time we were talking. Okay, I didn't factor in getting the peanut butter, setting it out. A half an hour at most, and you have yourself 2 feeders. If you're allergic to peanut butter, I suggest using the Crisco. And the Crisco is more or less as messy as the peanut butter is. And you just wipe your hands off and that's it. Are there any questions? Pretty obvious. And you can use any seeds. If anybody's interested, I'll be putting together a package with rolls once the rolls come in. I'm getting craft rolls in, and I'm going to package up some seeds. And if you could provide your peanut butter, or, I mean, hey, the meat fat, if you can render that, or the Crisco, and you can also use solid coconut oil. That you can use that as well. So those are 2 really quick crafts to get outside and feed your birds. But you can also take the peanut butter, put it in the pot. You could use 4 or 5 tablespoons of it, more if you want. Heat it up to where it becomes liquid. Throw a bunch of seeds in it, and then you can put it in the fridge and then just set it out as a block. You can put a hole through the block and string up the block of peanut butter with seeds in it. That's how commercial companies make suet. They'll render meat fat, but in the case of us, we can just use coconut oil or Crisco or peanut butter, heat it to where it's liquid, and then put it in the fridge or the freezer. And then just put it out like that, because then the birds and the squirrels have to eat through the fat, and they need it. They need it for this weather, especially once it gets down below freezing. So any questions about that? And please understand that this is a little on the messy side. So, and I see we have something in the chat. So Mary put a link to how to use furoshiki wrapping. Okay, and Julie switched to their laptop. Okay, let me go back. Let's talk about lip balm. Okay, so
Jackie, I'm sorry, before you leave the feeders,
sure.
just putting them out, is that enough to attract the birds, or do you have to, is there anything else that needs to be done?
That's all you need to do. Trust me. Like, I was standing there with my phone trying to get a shot of them on the feeders because I looked, once I put it out, I saw one going for it. So I'm standing there and then they ran away. I went back to it an hour later. It was gone. The toilet roll one, that was gone. The orange peel one lasted until the next day. But trying to get a shot of these birds, it's like they know you're trying to get a picture of them, you know? But yeah, no, they, you know, even if it takes a few hours, birds are constantly flying by and they know when the seeds are out. It's weird. But also I like to feed the squirrels. They're there. I wouldn't want to starve a squirrel just because it's a squirrel. And they like, you know, of course they like the seeds too, and they'll eat anything. They will eat any kind, they'll eat corn, they'll eat leftover vegetables, and all the seeds that the birds eat, even the tiny ones, you see them, they eat it like it's like tiny popcorn. It's really funny. So yeah, and if all you're left with is your orange peel, right, and you want to fill it again, fill it again. The other thing you can do if you want, you can actually dip this in the peanut butter and have it covered. You could just, if you're gonna make a whole day of doing bird feeding crafts, you dip it in the peanut butter, they stand there and they take pieces of it. So do the squirrels. And then you just keep filling it every time it empties. The thing is when it starts to get like yucky, when it starts getting really dirty and, you know, decomposing, just throw it in the dirt, you know, put it under a pile of leaves in the corner of your yard. It'll be gone before you know it. Yeah, so any other questions? Has anybody been composting? I've been doing that since Christmas. The veggies are like the easiest things to compost. If you can't compost or you don't want to compost meat, don't. I do it anyway. I know there's been discussions about not composting meat. It's not good for this, it's not good for that. Nothing in my backyard has died as a result of bones. And when I've had shellfish, whether you're allergic to it or not, for those of you who occasionally eat shellfish, I've put shells out there from small vongole clams or the cherry stone clams. Trees love the calcium of shells. It's amazing. Like, I didn't even plant this maple tree that's out in the corner of my yard, and it is a monster. For something I didn't plant at all, and I know it's a maple tree. Amazing. And so what I'll do is I'll take some of the shells and put them in the beds as well. So yeah, composting. I recommend it highly, especially if you have like vegetables, or if you're cleaning out your fridge and the vegetables are all yucky. Just put them in a, you know, put them in a thing like this and then throw them out at the end of the day. I put them under bushes as well. Okay.
Jackie, I want to tempt you to tap that maple tree now in the spring.
Right? Except it's not a sugar maple.
Oh, darn.
And Gorham, there's a sugar maple between the two houses that are on Chittenden and Reed. I forget whose tree it is, but that's a sugar maple. And
Okay.
the ones that are orange leaves, those tend to be sugar maples. So yeah, we have a lot of weird things in Crestwood. So. Anyway, yeah, that would be great.
That'd be pretty cool.
So lip balm. So let's get to the lip balm. So we got 10 paper packages, paper lip balm tubes, okay? And what I did was I was starting this craft, and my best friend Joan had made lip balm for a birthday party for her daughter. So that was the craft for the birthday party. Lots of fun, okay? So thanks to Friends of Crestwood Library, they basically said, okay, we'll buy all the parts for you for this. So what I did is I took the empty lip balm cases, right? And I put them together with a rubber band, and it made it easier for me to keep them all in one bunch and pour the melted concoction. That's what it looks like. Can you see that?
Mhm.
Okay, so, and I haven't touched it, and Phil Chopak is gonna help me make these really great labels that we're gonna put over the cap. The caps come off easily, but why did I choose this? I chose these containers because they're all paper and they're biodegradable. Thank you, Friends of Crestwood Library. So if you look at the list of ingredients, it's beeswax, shea butter, cocoa butter, almond oil or avocado oil, jojoba oil, vitamin E, and essential oil of choice. Z wanted cherry, so I got cherry. We got this one. It's indigenously sourced. Nobody has paid me to endorse that, but you want something that's organic and food grade. And you might be saying to yourself, what am I going to do with all this beeswax and shea butter and cocoa butter? You're going to make other things with it. That's what you're going to do. And you can always use an essential oil. So each of these things in their own way can be useful for lots of do-it-yourself crafts and hand creams. And let's face it, there's always time to make something that is useful for you. So what I did when I made the first batch, because I started with, I had plastic containers, which I'm not sharing with everybody. I want everyone to have the paper ones. I put all the ingredients together, which was a mistake. You have to put the ones together that are the more solid. So beeswax comes in solid blocks. This is hard, okay? This is a very solid wax. The easiest thing to do is to get, that's the shea butter. Is to get the pellets. So you can see. So once you get the pellets, you throw in a teaspoon of the beeswax, 2 teaspoons of shea butter. While it seems solid, it's not hard at all. What it is it's mushy. Shea butter is mushy. See? And shea butter, and I've used this before, shea butter, you can just literally take the block and rub it on your hands. It's good as an emollient anyway. It's good for your hands as is. After you put together the beeswax, the shea butter, and the cocoa butter, which you can also use to make chocolate. I feel like I'm on one of those talk shows. This is like wax, okay? I'm touching it. Oh, smells just like chocolate. That's also very solid. I cut it and estimated 1 teaspoon. And then since I'm allergic to almonds, and I'm sure almond oil wouldn't be great with my hands, I used avocado oil and jojoba oil. They're great oils to have around. This one you can cook with. This one's good for hand cream, and I've also introduced jojoba oil to all of you to put a few drops in your dishwashing liquid. When we did the first Zoom together, I showed you how to put together all the ingredients for the dishwashing liquid. This is very good because it mixes well and it's not greasy. the shea butter feels a little greasy, but it's still, it soaks in after a while. I mean, it's hand cream. It's not supposed to be like water. But the avocado oil, I didn't have the avocado oil with the first batch, so I just used more drops of jojoba oil. And then you finish it off with vitamin E oil and only a few drops. And then you put in the cherry. And so I didn't have to use something really big. Even when I made I made 2 batches in one. This holds about, I think this one is 3 cups. I think it's about three cups here, could be 4, but I know it's definitely 3. And what I did is, because it can be a little waxy, right after I poured it in, because I have this little lip there, makes it easy to pour. I took a paper towel, I actually took a cloth, and I went in and I wiped it out, and then a piece of a paper towel to finish it up. And I can still use this for gravy or anything. If I wanted to cook olive oil and garlic, I could still use this because it all came out. And even the little residual, bits of oil, welcome, Anne. The residual bits of oil, it's okay, you can ingest it, because everything I had the friends purchase is what is known as food grade. And so after I poured it into the paper containers, the lip balm was still wet and it got in between the paper containers. And so I just undid them, took a cloth towel, the one that I gave out to everybody, and then I wiped it down. And then I thought, oh my God, you can see the grease. You can't see the grease anymore. It's sort of absorbed into the paper. All of these things, the shea butter, the yellow beeswax, the cacao butter, the avocado oil, the jojoba oil, and the vitamin E and the beeswax are all 100% biodegradable. They will not harm the soil. They will not harm animals. So I wouldn't imagine they taste great to animals, but I have to say, when I used my lip balm, it was pretty tasty. There's no sugar in it. I do have another lip balm recipe. No, I have a hand cream recipe that uses honey, and that you have to keep in the refrigerator. So this is on the blog, on the YPL blog under sustainability. Phil Pajali put it up for me. So I know I went really fast through that, but did you understand the method? Did everybody get that?
Yeah, in regarding to the paper you said, where would we get those?
Say that again?
The paper, you said after you boil it down, you'll put it in the paper?
You put it in the containers. You take the top off.
Yeah, that's what I said. Where would you buy those?
Ah, yes. We got them on Amazon, and we just said, I listed it when I was doing the search on Amazon. I put up lip balm containers, lip balm tubes. And the least amount they sold were 10, because this recipe will render about 7. If you want to fill them all the way up to the top, you'll get definitely 7 full. If you did like 3/4, you could probably get all 10, which is why I didn't overbuy them. And to hand them out for a craft grab bag, a grab bag, won't work for any of you unless I give you 10 each. And then you have to go through the process. I think it's good if you want to do the process for yourself. If you want to make 10 of them, very easy. All it takes is the effort of buying each of these, ingredients. That was it. That was the big the rest of it was just chopping and throwing in the pan, in the little pot. And I think it was worth it. I had like I said, I had leftover plastic ones, and those I gave to my kids because I know I can get them back and reuse them. But I also gave them to Chris and Mary. I don't know if Z got one, but I just as samples to see how it was. Mary,
I'm enjoying mine today.
yes,
Today, I feel like I'm getting a hint of pineapple. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
okay. Well, it's cherry, but cherry can have that scent, you know. Between the shea butter, the cocoa butter, and the cherry, you're gonna get like a whole bunch of different. To me, it smells like chocolate cherry candies, like cordials. That's what it smells like to me. But yes, you would get like a whiff of pineapple. I could see that, especially with the shea butter. The shea butter has like a very strange smell, but it's really good. I mean, I found myself, my hands got covered in the lip balm and my hands were like really soft. So if they're for your lips, you know, and it's not exactly waxy like chapstick. Chapstick has a lot of, I don't know if it's candelilla wax or paraffin. Paraffin isn't the best thing for you to, you know, ingest, because let's face it, whatever you put on your lips is going in your mouth. You know, you can't prevent that really.
Actually, the texture of these is a lot like those very expensive sugar ones that they sell in like Sephora and Ulta and online that come in the tubes about this big, and they're very expensive. They're like $25 a tube, and they melt like that in your pocket, but they feel great on your lips. This feels a lot like those. It just doesn't have the color.
Right. If you wanted to make it more firm, just put it in the fridge. That's the easiest thing to do. And once in a while I get my lips get chapped over the summer. So you could just put your chapstick in the refrigerator. So yeah. Yes, this one is very, very smooth and it's very it's not waxy and hard at all. Yes, Ed.
With regard to the tubes, you know, I'm thinking of like chapstick and all that sort of stuff. There's usually some sort of little mechanism at the end that you turn to push it up as you go. How does this one work? Do you have to do that with your finger, or how does that?
Yes, I'm glad
does
you
it have something?
There is. It's that. Let's see if we can. You see that black at the bottom?
Sort of.
There's a disc, right? So my finger stops there, and you just push the disc up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you just push it up.
Oh,
Now,
but you're pushing it up manually with your finger.
I'm pushing it up manually with my finger.
Okay.
Now, the plastic ones that I have, right? So the plastic ones are they turn, but the paper ones don't. And if you're having trouble with your finger, take a pencil and push it up.
You know, I was just wondering if there was something already there, if it really is, it's just the tube really. So you end up,
Right.
okay.
Right, it's a disc that holds everything in place and you push it to push up on the chapstick.
Got it. And is you, I think you had mentioned there's some sort of a cap. Is that also paper?
The cap is also paper.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, very nice. Okay.
And then the disc. You can almost see the moon.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that's the cap, because it's all, you know, white under there. That's the disc that you push up with your finger. But
Got
you
it.
know,
Okay.
like I said, you can
Thank
do
you.
it with a pen. You're welcome. I wanted to try it out to see how we could adjust to this idea of not having everything, like it's easier to screw things in if it's metal or if it's plastic, but it's like a push-up pop, right? So, but without the plastic.
The old rockets.
Exactly. And I was also encouraging everybody to try deodorant that's in paper tubes as well. And they do sell that. They sell it with Native. Native is a deodorant. Yeah, it's mostly deodorant, and they offer people a sustainable version of their deodorant. It's in a tube. I'm gonna get it before the end, and I'll show you in the tube. So yeah, I wanted to be able to share that with you, and also the method for making it. And there was one more thing I was making today, and I'm gonna see. I took baking soda and I put it on a pan. Let me grab the pan. 1 second. Instead of having to get borax, I did this thing where it's from that book that I always refer to, Living Well, by Julie Watkins. And she says you can make your own baking soda, and not baking soda, washing soda. Does anybody know what washing soda is?
Something to make your Coca-Cola clean?
Well, borax makes a more complicated version of washing soda. You put like a teaspoon, no, not a teaspoon. You put in like a quarter of a cup into your laundry when you're doing laundry, and it really brightens the clothes, helps to lift the stains better, and gets rid of odors without having a perfumey smell. But the thing is, in order to get this a little more caustic, right? You wouldn't want to rub this on your hands, but it's not poisonous. Well, you don't eat it, but you also don't rub it on your fingers or whatever. You have to get the moisture out of baking soda. Baking soda has some moisture in it. And when you cook baking soda, you bring it to the level of washing soda. It's a cheap and easy way to have like a little jar of washing soda. I used up mine. It took me about through the whole summer, because when we started with these discussions back in June, when I was doing these Zooms. The first Zoom was in June. June 2021. Before I had the Zoom, I made the washing soda, and I used it up until I think the last time I had any was September. So I figured today would be a fun way of pulling that together and showing you how I do it. I leave it in for hours. They say, oh, 1 hour. No, it doesn't really get it to the level of washing soda. So I'm gonna go stick it back in the oven. I'll be right back in a jiff. One day I'm gonna get one of those GoPros, and we're gonna walk through my house and show you my kitchen. So I put it on 400 and I just leave it in for a few hours, and then I turn it off and then let it sit there until it cools. According to Julie Watkins, the baking soda should turn like an off-white color. Mine sort of does. I can't say it's perfect, but I can say it works really well in my laundry. So that's my spiel for crafts for this talk today. But I'd like to do one other thing, because since we are after Christmas, I know many of us like to declutter our space. And my friend Joan sent me the declutter challenge, 30 bags in 30 days. So everything from you take one thing each day, and you clean out each section, like the kitchen cupboard, the kitchen pantry, the kitchen drawers, under the kitchen sink, the junk drawer, cleaning supplies, the refrigerator and the freezer, the linen closet. And you go all the way to day 30 until you get to electronics. If you want to try this, I believe we posted this in the blog. If I haven't, I will. I'm going to check before the end of the day. I want you to consider if you decide to do any version of decluttering your house or apartment for this month. I know we're always in a process of decluttering, but if you decide, oh, you know what, I'm gonna really, each day I'm gonna take an area. Consider donating to either Vietnam Vets, Goodwill, or Habitat for Humanity. I recommend those three. Because people can always use the weirdest kind of stuff. The Vietnam Vets take everything. But they ask that it's clean and it's not terribly, horribly used, like broken or anything like that. So yeah, any questions? I think I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay. Well, hi. Well, isn't that cool? I'm taking my share. So I wanted to discuss briefly, what are we up to? Oh, 144, that's good. So I wanted to be able to talk about very briefly this idea of choosing an ESCO, an energy, I forget what the S is, but it's an energy company that supplies.
It's supply.
It's supply, okay, energy supply company. Wow, I overthought that one. So you can choose to have someone supply your energy in terms of either hydroelectric or solar. The company will decide, you'll know, because they'll tell you, we have a huge solar farm. I think they're expanding a very large area in Croton that is a solar farm. And how do I know this? I was on a Zoom with something called Sustainable Westchester. And I suggest for those of you who know how to navigate the internet, you just go on Google and you Google Sustainable Westchester. Or you can wait until we have a Zoom and a man named Paul from Sustainable Westchester will be on to discuss your options and what these things mean. Now, I went to the Zoom because they want to partner with YPL so that we can help our patrons understand what they have to do when they're making this change to accepting sustainable energy. So I think the first question in everybody's mind is, will it be more expensive than what we get currently? Therms and watts are measured and charged by the point of a cent, right? If you notice on your bill, have you ever seen your Con Ed bill and you see for 1 therm or 10 therms or 5 therms, however they measure it, we charge you 0.2 cent per hour or 0.2 cent per minute,
Wow.
right? Right. Okay. So they measure it by the therm, and it's not, they also charge you a tax. So 1/3 of your bill is a tax. 1/3 of your bill is the fact that they're Con Ed and they're delivering the energy to you. And the other 1/3 of your bill is the actual thing, the actual electricity or the measurement of electricity, the watt or kilowatt, and the actual therm. And I believe, and I didn't have enough time for this, I will confess, but I believe therm is defined by the heat measurement of the gas. It's not, it might be in volume, but it has to do with how it heats your house, meaning the amount that it heats your house. Don't quote me on that because I have a lot of figures in my head currently. But I think the two things you need to know if you want to decipher your electric bill, you look up what a watt is and you look up what a therm is. And I would say Con Ed is pretty good at laying it out. So good that there's a lot of detail to get through when you build, right? Do you notice that?
Mhm.
A lot of detail, and it gets confusing. So Jesse Montero decided that partnering with Sustainable Westchester would be helpful to get people to start to make that move towards sustainable energy. So to answer the question, is it more expensive? Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. It depends on the time of the year. And it also depends on the ESCO that is delivering it to you. Sometimes you'll see on a Con Ed bill at any given time of the year, your gas is cheaper than it was over the winter. Right, because you need it over the winter, which I hate that idea, but unfortunately that's how it works with Con Ed. You could choose to put solar panels on your house if you're able to do that. But the ESCO makes it easier rather than pay for having the panel put up on your house. You can use a solar farm that already has the setup, right? So I thought that's really cool because at least you're not paying for maintenance, and you're not paying. And now by maintenance, I mean getting them installed and then getting them checked once a year. Or if they break, you have to get them fixed. Most of the solar companies, don't hold me to this either, but I know one in particular, you have a guarantee so that if it does break, they will fix it free of charge, unless you've messed with it. And if it's your fault, I believe you pay for it. There is another option, and it's called, there is a company called Dandelion that does something called geothermal heating and cooling of your house. Yeah, Ed knows all about it. And Mary, if you could put that word, even the word geothermal heating and cooling, this company uses the heat from the earth, so they have to dig down. You don't have an initial outlay, but over time it's very costly to get this system. However, the man from Sustainable Westchester said there are government programs that help you pay for the geothermal installation. That's what I heard. And I felt that at the end of this Zoom, that's how I should end today's Zoom. I mean, yes, lip balms are fun and the bird crafts are great, but there is a point during winter when we're all worried about paying for that bill. And I wanted to be able to share that with you before we offer the Zoom. And we will be offering the Zoom very soon. And I'd like to be able to send all of it out. We'll advertise it on the site, on the YPL site, and we'll try to send it out by email or text. And I'm assuming many of you would be interested in sitting in on that Sustainable Westchester Zoom.
Definitely.
Okay.
Just a couple of things, Jackie. I did check into the geothermal. I came across it a few months ago. Not everyone can do it. You know, they have certain criteria, whatever it is. I don't remember precisely, but I know with my house, I have a driveway that goes down to the basement level. And somehow because of that, my yards weren't, compatible somehow or other.
Right.
With that. But the idea with geothermal is basically the heat level underneath your house is fairly constant all year. I'm going to say it's 60 degrees. So if you're trying to bring your heat up to, let's say, 70 degrees, basically there's some sort of a supplementary thing, or they do something that takes that 60 degrees and increases it up to the 70. But basically you're kind of getting that 60 degrees for free.
Right.
Is really what it comes down to. Let's say it's 32 degrees or 30 degrees out, right? You're getting a free 30 degrees, so the 60 minus the 30. So it's that kind of thing. But I mean, if you can do it, I would say it's worth looking into. Let's put it that way.
Right.
ESCO, I've used ESCOs for years now, since they started them a couple of years back. I have one, I think it's called Energy Choice, is the one I'm using.
Right.
And I'm paying, I think it was like 7.6 cents per kilowatt or something. I don't remember exactly. I don't know how that measures out against others. But I kind of look at it as if I'm paying a premium, at least I can kind of look at it as if I'm donating to an environmental fund or something.
There are times when I do know that that's about comparable. Some
Yeah.
months it's 6.4 because I recently looked at my bill, and some months it's 7 with Con Ed.
Well, it probably depends on the ESCO because mine is a set price all year long. I pay whatever it is, I think the 7.6. But they do tell you, like the one I have is a mix of wind power and solar power. And the analogy they make is the actual, let's say, electricity that you're using is a mix of tons of sources. What you're really doing by, let's say your house is 10,000 kilowatt hours a year or whatever, kilowatts a year. What they do is they get a contract for 10,000 kilowatts. So they're supplying Con Ed with that amount. So the analogy they use is if there's a bathtub with lots and lots of pipes coming in, there's a solar pipe and there's a nuclear power pipe and there's an oil pipe and all that. You're increasing the amount that goes into the tub that comes from solar or that comes from wind. So it's not like the electricity you get has been generated by solar. It's you're increasing the proportion of the total power that's
Right.
coming from the I'll call it the good source.
Right. Well, I know I just mentioned the two things, hydroelectric, but yes, it's also wind power. In New York City, they rely on not solely, but Con Ed also gets turbine power from tops of buildings all the way down to the water.
Yeah, they have that thing in the East River. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
There's another one under the Verrazano Bridge, right where we have this huge underwater shelf that goes down like thousands of feet, drops right off. And there's a very powerful, there's a powerful,
Turbine or something.
turbine. Yeah, because, the power from the river, it gets, undertow and all that.
I'm laughing at Gina's remark. No, thank you. I'll leave that to Jackie.
Explain it. You have a handsome voice.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
He has a lovely voice, but a man has a different way of explaining things. You know?
Well, he definitely fleshed it out. I was trying to give a short version of it.
Oh, yeah,
because-
no, that was just
I get-
complimentary information.
Oh, I love it.
followed
I
that.
love it. 'Cause-
It's in support of what Jackie's saying.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to overload everybody, but I also, I'm trying to get through it too, but I appreciate, Ed, that you mentioned the other things. Because it's a lot of information and so much of it is just jam-packed in my head. And there was another thing. Oh, the last thing, they suggested, Sustainable Westchester suggested that people start looking toward purchasing their appliances, start thinking about going electric, because the goal that and it will happen eventually, and we're not talking about tomorrow or next year, but they
Yeah.
will eventually go all electric.
My oven is electric. I can't stand it. I wish I had gas like,
I-
at this
I
house.
love gas too, but at some point, New York will not be offering gas choices.
Wow.
So, because there is a point at which fossil fuels will run out. And
Wow.
that's not, oh, we have an endless supply of fossil fuels. We don't. And the idea is to take the pressure off of relying on fossil fuels, extending our time with them if we have to. I roll. I have gas heat. Eventually, I'd like to get out of it. But the idea is to ease up the pressure on millions and millions of barrels of oil and having to, convert that to natural gas as well. So the idea is to get away from fossil fuels and move toward electric. As it is, New York does not have any coal plants, and we are trying to get away from fracking. This is not a political message. I am being merely scientific, because fracking is dangerous, poisonous. It can lead to accidents. At least with hydropower, the one good thing I could say, and there are many bad things to it, it's people don't live right on top of, a hydro dam. Not, their house isn't next door to one. But anyway, I want to just offer that to you, and please join us, regardless of whether you have an apartment or you can't make the change, because there are other things that you have to consider. Because especially if you're working with a landlord, they may have to suddenly say, well, I'm not offering gas anymore. It's not gonna, like I said, it's not gonna happen next year or the year after, but it may happen. So may happen sooner rather than later. But anyway, I would like all of you to join us for that Sustainable Westchester Zoom.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis and Barbara from Newark. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Westchester County Legislator Ruth Walter, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.